This is the Nike Vomero Plus. We are going to take it through its paces today for our first run review. We're going to go through a mile at 10-minute pace, 8:30 pace, and something sub 7-minute pace, depending on what the shoe gives me. This has been one of the better shoes from Nike in recent history. It has had a ton of people behind it, getting on foot and getting out running in it. As always, we'll go through some stats real quick. We are coming in with a very high 45mm stack here, so tons of this ZoomX all the way through. Speaking of which, we do have full-length ZoomX, but it is not the P-Bax ZoomX that is in the top-tier Nike racing shoes. This is actually a TPE foam, so I wouldn't expect like that unbelievable experience out of it. What it should do, though, is provide a little more durability than you would get in a shoe that's complete P-Bax, and it should make it a little more reasonable for daily training. And this is coming in at 10.3 ounces, which is a little heavier than you would maybe expect in this kind of super trainer category. So it's coming in above like a Mountain Coast C1 and well above something like a Superblast 3. As always, I do like the run repeat numbers. I know there are some reviewers out there who don't care for that information as much. And my goal is to really give you an idea of how the shoe feels without a super like high regard to the numbers. But I do think the numbers are generally real and can provide some insights of what you might expect, or it could be an interesting point of like, oh, it should do something that it's not necessarily, or vice versa. So I'll put them up on the screen right here, probably. But what we're coming up to is 67% energy return, which is pretty good. It's not like super shoe racing foam. It is pretty soft, and it is pretty good at absorbing shock. So this is, by all means, according to the numbers, a very good shoe. I am curious how it's going to feel on foot, so that's what we're going to do next. We'll get it on foot and do our walk test. Then we'll go ahead and get into our mileage. And I do need to mention, of course, we have a 10mm heel to toe drop, so that is relatively high, but it is very much in line with what Nike does. And then something I've heard from other folks is we do get a pretty generous toe box here, so more than we get out of some Nike shoes. And then I am very excited about this grip. So we have got plenty here. I don't think traction is going to be an issue whatsoever. Also, I do have to just mention, I love the colorway on it. I think this is super sick. Nike always does a great job with aesthetics, and I think this holds true to that. With that said, let's go ahead and get this on foot. These are actually so new that I still have the shoe form in there. And I actually pulled the tongue out a little bit, or the insole, but that's okay. Very first impressions. I didn't even get to try this on, so I didn't know sizing. I went with size 12. I'm a little close on here with Nike. I do actually generally go up a half size, so 12.5 has worked well for me. That's what I wore in the Vomero 18 that I wore for my Kiowa marathon. But let's tighten this up and see how the lockdown is, and then I'm going to just preemptively do it. It doesn't feel overly secure back here. Good, padded, cushioned, but not overly secure. And you guys know that I do most of my shoes with a runner's loop, and so we will do that here. Never going to fault a company where like I need to feel like I get a little better lockdown with the runner's loop. I think that's totally fine and probably more a me thing than anything else. But yeah, pretty uncommon that I have a shoe that I do not runner's loop. Here, just bent over, it feels like I've got enough space here. At the front, I've got maybe a half a thumb when I'm kneeling and don't have a ton of pressure on my foot, which means we may end up being a little short, so TBD on what size you may want to go. Definitely something I will keep in mind as we go. I'm going to switch over here. Toss that and pop this on. It does have a nice foot feel, so nothing crazy. I have a little more on this side. I think this is maybe my smaller foot. Time to get a squish test, so we'll get a nice up close view of that. Not overly squishy. However, I weigh about 190 pounds, and I think this may end up actually feeling pretty good as we get running along. It has a nice feel, just kind of bouncing around here side to side. Actually, the forefoot actually feels a little more springy to me. Let's go ahead and walk over this way. Definitely would be a good lifestyle shoe, amongst other things, of course. Just nice, airy, you feel tall, which I like. Again, plenty of room in the forefoot, plenty of cushion there. I could see somebody liking this for a long run, certainly. Doesn't have that like wow factor that I would maybe feel with the Superblast, but it actually almost feels a little more springy, like I want to go run now. All right, with everything on foot, we are going to go ahead and get started for the run. So we are not starting the scheduled workout because we figured out that didn't work last time. Let's go ahead and get going. So immediate first steps, feels cushiony. We're gonna hang out at this 10-minute pace for a mile, and we'll keep you updated with things I'm feeling as we go. So about a half mile in here, was fighting with the daggone microphone. This feels like a lot of stack though, in a good way. So it feels protective, feels like a lot up, a little firmer than the first couple of steps I took. We're like right at 950, so feels good. Not running super fast. I'm very intrigued about the forefoot. So when I was back the other way, kind of just bouncing along, the forefoot felt a little more playful than this maybe does right now. It's not like the most, I don't know, not the craziest feeling shoe right now. Not that any shoe has to be ever, but maybe I want it to be a little more playful based on what I've heard from other people. We'll go ahead and finish this mile out, and I'll give you kind of the breakdown of mile 1 at 10-minute pace. That is the look at our very easy 10-minute pace. We are just about to tick over the mile, so I'll basically just leave this running here. And so we ended up a little faster in total, but generally right. 9:39 and 10-minute pace for me is going to be the same general feeling, and I think it does that pace very nicely. It is not asking for faster. It is certainly more comfortable than the Evo SL that I just did the review on. You can look at that here. This felt like it can do that easy pace really nicely. Not forcing me into anything, feels pretty wide open right now. Fit is actually good. I was hopeful that that would be the case. I've heard this runs more normal than other Nike shoes. I have to go up to like 12.5, and pretty much everything else from them, like the Peg Assist that I also just did a review on, Peg 42, it for sure needed a 12.5 for me. The 12 was like definitely a half size off, even with the wider toe box on that one. But 12 here is my normal true to size, and I'm going to give that a thumbs up. I don't have too much more to add for this 10-minute pace feel. Let's go ahead and hop into 8:30, which is my kind of daily pace. See how it does there. Then we'll do our last one at sub 7-minute mile, which I kind of expect is where the forefoot will become more playful on this one. So nearly half a mile in, actually pretty good. about that on 830 pace. It doesn't feel like an alien kind of shoe, but it does feel like you get a lot of your energy back. Feels like a pretty good platform, pretty substantial, both on the upper and on the shoe. And yes, please pardon the outfit. Did not have clean running shorts, and it just so happened that like we doubled up on a Nike outfit. Definitely not sponsored. Would be cool, but not. Okay, so 8:32. I feel like that really is just a very good pace for me to be running. It is not overly fast and feel like can stay pretty dialed on the 8:30s. Honestly, it's feeling kind of just like a good running shoe. It's definitely not got that alien feel to it. Good energy return, not great. The arch is felt a little bit, but it's not like all the way dug up into the arch. Still hitting kind of midfoot and rolling smoothly, but that's kind of where we have this feel at right now. It does feel like it'll be durable, so I like to usually mention that, especially at the price point. Finding this at what I think I saw you could get these for like $145 on sale, just different places. That's pretty good. When you can get a shoe with this much stack for the price of a full price Ghost or a full price 880, I mean, shoot, the same price as a Pegasus. This is not in the same conversation as those shoes. It's just not also like the Rad UFO is one I really, really want to try. That one I've heard from people feels kind of like an alien rocket ship, and that's like my favorite feeling in the world. I remember, so I would wear Nike pretty regularly when I was competing in track, and the first Air Zoom victory was just, it felt like the most unreal shoe in the world. And I've always kind of been looking for that feeling, and I'm excited to keep finding shoes that are outliers like that. This feels like a good standard shoe, not like an alien shoe, if that makes sense. Now let's try this 7-minute or faster paced mile and see if anything sparks, because that is something that definitely happens. Shoes can spark at different paces, where I get a dramatically different feel, exactly like what happened with the Evo SL. For the first 2 paces, it was fine. It still does not feel like a daily shoe to me, and I've worn it a couple more times since. But on the faster mile, it felt like it came completely alive, like started ripping. So let's see what happens with these. I usually just kind of try and take what the shoe gives me. So we'll do exactly that and get this next mile. So that there, cruising 632, staying pretty comfy, but not a UFO yet. So interestingly, as we got a little more tired through the rep, got a little more on my forefoot. I was like able to consciously think, what does bouncy and springy feel like? And props to this, the forefoot feels much more bouncy and playful, kind of like the very first thing I felt. It feels like it is meant to be more a forefoot striking shoe. So I'm usually like the forward part of my heel to midfoot, definitely a little more on the further backside. And when I did get more forefoot, which I'm trying to work on and be just a little bouncier, it felt much more fun, much more poppy. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put this down and get the other camera, but I'm gonna tell you why I think it could still be good for a lot of different people out there, and give you a breakdown of everything, the value for the price, the rotation you might want it in, who may or may not like it, like all those good things that we hit in the breakdown, where I try and just bring everything we talked about while I was running into one useful culmination. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going directly into another video where I'm comparing this and the Superblast. So if you are between those two shoes and curious which one you might like more, I haven't actually run in the Superblast in a hot minute. So we're gonna go back and forth between the two shoes. You can take a look at that video directly following this one. I almost forgot to do a stride. We're gonna do one, because again, I don't wanna make my foot too mad still from that sprained ankle. So we're gonna be reasonable with this, but we'll give it one good go and see how it feels going a little quicker than our normal running would be. I'm going to support you guys by doing a stride real quick, and you guys can support me by checking out the Ontos running brand. I actually have a live waitlist now for the running hats. They are in production, they're on their way. If you go to ontosrunning.com, you can check out the waitlist, or you can take a look at any of my other awesome apparel. I've got shirts and quarter zips. I've got tanks on the way. I've got ladies shirts on the way. I have socks already. So ton of stuff. If anything is needed in your running closet, by all means, take a look at the Ontos running brand. I'd appreciate it. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and do this stride now. Okay, so that was a 4:36 paced stride, and I was actually running faster at the end of it than at the start, but the watch took a second to catch up, so that's my bad, but we were running as fast as 4:14 pace. So let's break this down. Who is it for and who is it not for? Who is it for? Somebody that wants a really plush daily trainer that's cushiony and protective and feels like a decent amount of foam underfoot. I did feel like I was relatively high off the ground. If you really like that ground feel, maybe not as much for you. If you are a heel striker, you may not like it as much as the Forefoot striker. My wife is very Forefoot, and I think she may really, really like these. Maybe they need a little break in on the heel. I'm not going to write it off just yet. I do plan on doing quite a few runs in these just because I know so many people have had such good experiences with it. But it felt good, not great, not phenomenal. And I usually try, when I'm on my own running my own stuff, I usually try and run in stuff that I feel really good about, that I'm excited about. So more to be looked at there. Where does it fit in a rotation? This could for sure be a one shoe rotation. I know I try and make that distinction. Could this be a one shoe for you out there who's trying to replace your one running shoe? Totally. You can do your relaxed paces. It felt stable enough. It felt cruisy enough. It did still feel light enough. There are lighter things out there, but if it's your one shoe to do it all, I think it could do it well. I think you could do a workout in it probably. I don't know that it would be like my first pull, but if you're doing most of your miles at a pretty comfortable for you pace, then yeah, you're okay to do just a little bit of your mileage in something that may be a tiny bit suboptimal. That said, there are plenty of people out there, I think, that do use this for their workout. So to each their own there. I don't think you could go wrong. Two shoe rotation, I would want to pair this with a workout shoe. So two shoe rotation would be this for your easy stuff, maybe a progression run if you wanted. Definitely good for a long run because there's enough underfoot that it's not going to fatigue super fast, I don't think. And then something faster for anything, you know, I would probably say half marathon pace or faster. Not bad down there at the 6:36 pace, I think it was, for the fastest mile. Just not like overly like over the moon about it. Now, one of my favorite questions to answer is how does it work in terms of value? You know, I'm a big value guy. For what you can get this on sale for, my goodness, absolute steal. Again, if you can find this for $145, which I think you can do at a couple of different spots, yeah, go grab it. That's a no-brainer. I think the amount of shoe you're getting at $145 price point, if you're used to buying your shoes for that or more, I think you're just getting a ton of value out of these. For the right person, I could even see this at full price being a pretty good value shoe. I think it's going to last a long time. That's just my kind of gut feeling with this. Fit and feel was really nice on it. Felt like I wouldn't have any issues keeping it on foot for extended periods of time. I mean, I ran my marathon in the Vomero 18. I think this could totally do the same thing, and it's a little lighter and has a little better energy response, or energy return rather. So I think if you're just running normal human paces, I think this would totally be in the cards for most things most people want to do. I could see it even being comfy for a 5K if you wanted to try and get after a 5K. Now, I am going into a format I hope is going to be good. I want to be able to do more shoe comparison reviews, so I can't do a huge review every time. I'm still planning on doing those, but I'm actually going to introduce a comparison option where I can put two shoes together relatively quickly, with the goal of giving you more information faster, like especially shoes that I've run in a bunch already. So like I've got 100+ miles in the Superblast 3s. And while the Vomero Pluses on my feet right now are relatively new, I just ran in it a bunch. So I feel like I've got a good feel for how it is on foot right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these two head to head. I'm gonna switch back and forth between the two a couple of times and see what feels good. I know a lot of people have asked about this comparison in my Superblast videos, so we're going to go ahead and break that down in the next video, so go ahead and hop over and watch that. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Happy miles, do something good for your body. Bye.